Hello students, welcome you all to this online platform. In the previous lecture, you understood the basic and key terms regarding forensic serology. Today we will understand the nature, composition, functions of blood, and its components. At the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand: first, what is the nature and properties of blood? Second, the three primary functions of blood. Third, the four principal components of blood, that is, plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, along with functions. Let's understand the nature of blood. Blood is fluid connective tissue. Its pH is 7.4. Total blood volume, 5 to 6 liters, which is 8% of total body weight or 80 milliliters per kilogram body weight. Blood is a complex connective tissue in which living cells, the formed elements, are suspended in the non-living fluid called plasma. Now, have a closer look on the function and components of blood. The three primary functions of blood are transportation, regulation, and protection. The major function of blood is to deliver oxygen and nutrients to and remove wastes from body cells, but that is only the beginning of the story. The specific functions of blood also include distribution of heat, maintenance of homeostasis, and protection of the host from diseases. So, blood transports the following substances: gases, namely oxygen, O2, and carbon dioxide, CO2, between the lungs and rest of the body. Nutrients from the digestive tract and storage sites to the rest of the body. Hormones from the glands in which they are produced to their target cells. Waste products to be detoxified or removed by the liver and kidneys. Blood also performs the function of maintaining body temperature, that is, thermoregulation within the limits. Whenever there is an increase in temperature, vasodilation occurs, and in response to cold temperature, vasoconstriction occurs, which is shrinking of the diameter of blood vessels supplying the skin. It in turn reduces blood flow and helps retain heat. White blood cells or leukocytes are primarily responsible for protection. They destroy invading microorganisms and cancer cells. Protects against infection and disease by ingesting foreign materials and cellular debris. Antibodies and other proteins destroy pathogenic substances. Platelet factors initiate blood clotting and help minimize blood loss. Now, move on to the components of blood. Like all connective tissues, it is made up of an extracellular matrix and cellular elements. The extracellular matrix, called plasma, makes blood unique among connective tissues because it is fluid. The cellular elements, referred to as the formed elements, include red blood cells, RBCs, white blood cells, WBCs, and cell fragments called platelets. We all have 4 to 5 liters of blood in our body. Upon centrifugation, it gets separated into components. Plasma makes up about 55% of the blood volume. White blood cells and platelets constitute 4% of the blood volume. Red blood cells constitute 41% of the blood volume. Let's discuss separately each of these components. The first is plasma. 90% of the plasma is water. Plasma proteins are the most abundant substance in plasma by weight and play a part in a variety of roles, including clotting, defense, and transport. Albumins are the smallest and most abundant plasma proteins. Albumin is also the most significant contributor to the osmotic pressure of blood. His second most common plasma proteins are the globulins. Out of the three types, the gamma globulins are proteins involved in immunity and are better known as antibodies or immunoglobulins. The least abundant plasma protein is fibrinogen, which is essential for blood clotting. In the remaining 2% are the various components like nutrients, waste, hormones, and gases. After studying composition, let's understand functions of plasma. The main role is to carry all other cells around the body. So, all of our blood cells, digested food, for example glucose, and waste, for example carbon dioxide. Basically, it is incredibly important because it allows all the cells to their job by carrying them where they need to be, whether they are hard-working muscles or major organs. During exercise, particularly plasma has the role of regulating body fluid by passing fluids from the blood vessels to the muscles which may be experiencing dehydration due to loss of fluids in sweat and evaporation. Now concentrate on red blood cells. The process which produces red blood cells, erythrocytes, in our body is known as erythropoiesis. They are continually produced in our bone marrow. Erythropoiesis starts with a pluripotent hematopoietic stem cell, which differentiates into a common myeloid progenitor that is proerythroblast and then into erythroblast. As the erythroid cells mature, they become smaller, have more condensed chromatin, lose their nucleoli, and their cytoplasm changes from blue to pink. Eventually, the nucleus is extruded, resulting in a reticulocyte. Most of the process takes place in the bone marrow over 3 weeks. The resulting reticulocyte retains some ribosomal RNA to make hemoglobin, and after 1 to 2 days in the bone marrow, it enters the peripheral blood where the RNA is lost after 1 to 2 days, resulting in a mature RBC. Only 1% of the circulating RBCs are reticulocytes. The average lifespan of RBC is 120 days and they are removed by liver and spleen. The red blood cells have a biconcave disc shape which maximizes the surface area of the cell membrane for oxygen to diffuse across. The discocyte shape of human RBCs is 1.7 to 2.2 m in thickness and 7.5 to 8.7 m approximately in diameter. The main function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen from lungs to tissues and then transportation of carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs. RBCs carry oxygen around the body by a protein inside the cells called as hemoglobin. This is the property of the blood that makes it red. During physical activity in particular, red blood cells are used not only for the basic process of oxygen transport but also carry carbon dioxide and other metabolic byproducts away from the muscle cell and out of the body. After plasma and red blood cells, next we will understand the basics of white blood cells. They are also known as leukocytes. They are first divided into 2 types, agranular and granular. Agranular white blood cells have few or no granules in the cytoplasm and have a large spherical nucleus. Granular white blood cells contains numerous granules in the cytoplasm, and their nuclei are lobed. There are 2 main types of agranular leukocytes, monocytes and lymphocytes. Monocytes make up anywhere between 2 and 8% of all leukocytes in the blood. Lymphocytes are the second most common leukocyte at 20 to 25% of total leukocytes. There are 3 types of granular leukocytes. Neutrophils are the most common type of leukocytes. They make up 50 to 70% of human leukocyte counts. Eosinophils make up about 2 to 4% of your total leukocyte count. Basophils are the rarest type of leukocytes, making up less than 1% of your total leukocyte count. Lymphocytes. These cells in the blood, they represent 20 to 45% of WBC. These cells are fundamental in cellular and humoral immunity. The lymphocyte is an agranular cell with very clear cytoplasm which stains pale blue. Its nucleus is very large for the size of the cell and stains dark purple. The T cells attack foreign cells such as viruses, cancer cells, and transplants. The B cells develop into plasma cells which make antibodies. Monocytes are the third most common type and largest of white blood cells. About 2 to 10% of leukocytes are monocytes. They have a large eccentrically placed nucleus, which is kidney bean shaped. Monocytes in the circulation are precursors of tissue macrophages that are actively phagocytic.